Good morning traders, welcome to this live currency strength indicator table video with me, John. Today we're going to be taking a look at our tables. We're going to find out where we should be focusing our attention in today's video. So we can see that CAD Swiss is topping our day traders table. Dollar Swiss remains top of our trend traders. We spoke about these two markets yesterday. That's something we're going to feature again today. We also spoke about Euro CAD in yesterday's video. Now, Euro CAD was a little bit unfortunate, so we'll come on to that one in a second. And we've also got the dollar showing that it's weak on the table, so I'm looking to potentially look for a euro dollar long at the moment. We can also see yen has come to the strong side of the table, so potentially we could see some yen strength, although the yen pairs at the moment going a little bit sideways, but we will feature dollar yen in this video as well, so make sure you stick around for that. Euro CAD then. So a little bit unfortunate with Euro CAD. I'm just going to move it over a little bit. Yesterday we were looking for some longs. Reason being is if we take a look at this weekly chart, had a nice impulsive move on the week last week, looking for that momentum to continue perhaps into previous key highs. Around about the 1.5050 is where we're looking for overall targets into this market. Now, if we look at the daily chart, I was looking to see if that momentum would continue. It didn't quite, although we did get a little spike down into the supporting area that we were looking at getting long in yesterday. Now, if I go to the hourly chart, this is what our trade currently looks like. Now, unfortunately for us, we didn't actually get triggered into this move. Despite price moving through our entry point, it didn't move enough to equate for the spread as well. You can see chart partner up here showing us that the spread at the moment is 1.1, and unfortunately for us, it didn't move past it enough in terms of pips to trigger our order, and price did rally about 100 pips after the fact. So depending on what broker you're working with, our broker didn't enter us into this position. In fact, you can actually see it kind of came into the 50 moving average instead and rallied away from the 50 moving average. So potentially going to look to rework this order. EuroCAD obviously featured on the table still. Could be something that we're looking to still continue to look for longs on. So looking really back down at the 50 again, maybe the 148.13 now. Or if you were confident where price was potentially heading before, we could just move it up into those previous lows at the 147.90. But you're running the risk again of it not being triggered. So I quite like the idea of maybe moving our entry point to the 50 moving average or just above the 50 moving average, around about 148.20, 1.4820. We need at least a 90 pip stop loss, so we can bring that in to about here. We then, our targets still remain about a 1 to 2 risk reward ratio, and we've got that sort of confluence there of the potential 50 moving average being the support. And we also then have a little bit more of a buffer in case price moves lower, that we still have price heading towards these lows as an area as well. So that's in the way of price if it does start to go the other way, but quite like the opportunity here on EuroCAD, especially because of the potential upside we could have on this market. And that kind of flows us nicely into euro dollar as well. Euro dollar actually performing very well recently. We're trading through key significant levels. If we go to the weekly chart, breaking above that 1.100 level opens the opportunity up for buyers to take price to the 1.1450 handle, which are these highs that formed back in January of 2022. So looking for that momentum to continue as well. Going into the 4-hour time frame and the hourly, we are just slightly moving sideways, but you can see that price is respecting the 50 moving average here and has recently retested it and rallied again. Now, I would normally say, great, I'm going to take a potential position around the 50, but because of the way this market is particularly shaping up in terms of, if we kind of look at it, we have this almost like a little range going on, little sideways bullish range. So I'm kind of in the mindset of looking more down in this area to see if we can get an entry maybe around the 1210s, where you can see buyers have stepped in most recently. So maybe around about this one spot 1210 area, we need at least a 70 pip stop loss, so that could bring us down through here, and then the target being that one spot 1450 brings us well into the 1 to 3 risk reward range. Heading over to dollar Swiss then. So dollar Swiss still on our charts of interest, still on our tables, still topping the trend traders, and is featured on the day traders, Swiss being the strongest currency. We can see here that dollar Swiss trending to the downside. Where could it possibly go? Now, if we head up to the weekly chart and just zoom out a little bit, 82.50 is the next level of interest for us. So looking to see if we can get some kind of pullback here. And again, just going down to the 4-hour time frame for this one, I quite like to see if price will come back at least into the 68.90s before we look for any kind of downside in this market in particular. Right, finishing on dollar yen then. So we did say we'd talk about the yen. Downside still looks pretty good. However, we are resting now at the 137.75 and the daily 200 moving average. So for this market, I was in a bit of two minds. Whether to look to go for a short, back down into these areas here, or wait. And I think there's two options we could look at in this market. Now, the first option would be, you know, can we look for a pullback? And if we did look for a pullback, where could it be around? Well, it could be around this 139.40. The only problem with that is we're breaking above this 50 moving average, and we're really relying on price to respect the range that's being formed here instead of the downward trend that we've been used to recently. I would much prefer trying to catch this move here than trying to predict the market rejecting that range high and then moving into a trending situation, if that makes sense. But just take off the period separators here for a moment, make it look a little bit cleaner. Now, if I go back up to that daily time frame, if price was to trade through this level, it does open up a 600 pip move to the downside. So I think actually taking the conservative view on this one may pay us dividends in the future. If price does break down this 137 area, maybe then we start to see another sort of trending period with price coming all the way back down into the March 23 lows at the 130.75 area. So I think that's the play here for dollar yen, although I do quite like the opportunity of looking for that range high pullback. It doesn't really make sense in the grand scheme of things looking at where price is at this current moment in time. So hopefully that made sense, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next video.